everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and welcome to the verbose and Hulk-busting comic book vault. It's time for new acquisitions, and I've got 5 new books to review for you this week. It seems like 5 is the magic number right now. I wanted to mention before we get started that I had every intention of reviewing Marvel Now .1 this week, and I was going to get that, and it wasn't at the comic shop. I guess they ran out this week, so if they have those again by next week, I'll go ahead and pick that up and review it. Why don't we go ahead and start off right now with Avengers Assemble number 8. This is the end of this arc, and this is basically the big final triumph of the Guardians and the Avengers against Thanos. And I have to say that this ended a little bit lackluster for me. I enjoyed it. The art is beautiful. Bagley, of course, does an amazing job as usual, but I feel like Thanos got a little bit lost in the shuffle in this book. When this started, he was all like, you know, really boisterous and was ready to take over everything and knew just what he was doing, and I really enjoyed how Bendis was doing his dialogue, and he was just so full of himself, and he was the Thanos I've always known and loved. Here I could count on one hand the number of alliance Thanos gets, and you know, it's the end of this, and he gets beaten at the end. Spoiler warning, but you know, it's the end of the arc, and the Avengers win. But anyway, basically, the idea, and I liked this. The idea behind this was good. That it wasn't really a cosmic cube, but actually a man-made cosmic cube, and so it has different properties, and that goes along with a lot of why Thanos ultimately gets beaten by the Avengers and the Guardians. Another thing I didn't really care for by the end of this was that once the Guardians got thrown in the mix, I felt like all of the characters got a little bit lost in the shuffle, where it's like Iron Man gets a whole lot to do, but other than that, it really feels like a lot of people have dialogue that could have been given to kind of anybody else. You know, they work as one big unit, and that's great and everything, but I didn't feel like we got to really do anything interesting with any specific characters, and even though, you know, Iron Man gets a whole lot to do, it's pretty much just because, you know, he's the smart guy that understands how cosmic cubes work. And Mr. Fantastic figures into this a little bit. I don't know the Guardians well enough, and maybe if you do, you would appreciate this a little bit more than I did. But because the Guardians are thrown in here, it just feels like nobody gets enough panel time. So those are my big complaints about the book. Like I said, Bagley's art is beautiful and amazing, and is really classic cosmic stuff, and I really like Giant Thanos. I just wish a little bit more was done with him. But anyway, ultimately, I would definitely, I would definitely recommend this arc. I just didn't really care for how it ended as much as I loved how it started. Ultimately, and I kind of expected this sort of ends up looking like more of a setup for Guardians of the Galaxy than anything. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to start in February, and that's going to be another of Bendis' books. Man, does he have a lot of books in Marvel now. And it's going to be Bendis and McNiven, and I'll definitely pick up the first issue and see how it is. I don't have a whole ton of interest in reading the new Guardians book. I'm really glad that it's happening, and I'm really excited that it's getting a movie. I'm just not, you know, currently a giant fan of Guardians, and I have so much else on my pull list. I don't know if I'll keep reading it, but I'll definitely give the first issue a chance, and if it's awesome, I'll probably stay on it. The next thing I want to talk about is Ultimate Comics Spider-Man number 16. Wow, am I enjoying United We Stand. Of course, I ran it and raved at the latest issue of Ultimates. This is, interestingly, not picking up where that left off so much as actually setting up for it. This happens just before Captain America becomes president, and I really enjoyed this quite a bit. Basically, it's you know, where Miles was left off from the last issue, where he goes to the Ultimates and says, I want to join, and then realizes how dumb of an idea it was to show up in the middle of their business right while America is in the middle of this giant war on their own soil. And he ends up having to help Captain America against a big Hydra attack. I'm of a little bit of two minds about how Captain America is characterized here, because he's so, like, in Ultimates, when he becomes president, he's so sure of himself. He's on such sure footing. He knows just what to do. He doesn't panic about anything. And I have a hard time believing that he would need to just scream at Miles Morales the way he does here. I think some of this dialogue that Bendis gives Captain America here is actually a little bit trite. And I think that because, and not that I want to really give anything away, but because of the way this issue kind of bookends, it seems like he's trying too hard to contrast how Captain America feels about Miles at the beginning of this versus the way he feels at the end of it, and so there's such an extreme shift in his attitude and the way he's dealing with Miles. I was kind of taken out. I didn't entirely buy it, and I feel like Captain America would be a little bit smoother about it. I kind of feel like he would just be like, no kid, you don't need to be here right now, shoo, leave, we're in the middle of something. I didn't really feel like he needed to scream at Miles the way he does here. On the other hand, I understand that he's busy and they're in this giant battle and America's completely falling apart, which is of course what this whole event has been about. But I'm just not sure that he would stop and take his time to, scream at Miles the way he does here. Regardless of that, besides that, I liked everything else about the issue. I really liked the scene at the beginning with Miles' dad trying to go home, and all these parts of the city are in lockdown, and you can't go past certain points. So if you live in a zone where you're not supposed to be, you're just screwed. You can't go home, and it really is dealing with how can America continue to be what America is supposed to be when it's also a police state, and that sort of thing. One thing I'm starting to really pick up on this that I hadn't before, and it really Bendis really hit this home for me in this issue, and I think this is the reason that Ultimate Spider-Man's working well within this event that I wondered if he would fit in at all, is the idea of the teenage kid that has to deal with all of his regular personal problems, just learning how to live and grow up and figure out who he wants to be, at the same time as he's living in a really difficult time in our country. And of course, this is a really extreme version of what kids might be dealing with right now, where we live in kind of uncertain times, and the economy's not what it used to be. There's a lot of violence and war and things around us all the time, and this kind of takes all of that, but I don't think it makes it too political. I mean, because it's so comic book the way that it's done, especially because there's so much like Hydra involvement and things like that, where it's not too real life. It's not too close to home, but it also is about real things that people are facing right now. And I like the idea of taking that really blown up idea of we live in uncertain times, and having Miles have to deal with that while America is at war and kind of at war with itself in places. And so I really like what Bendis is doing there. This kind of analogy of what it's like to be a teenager right now. So anyway, this is absolutely, I would say, a pickup, and I gotta tell you, the end of this made me want to go ahead and pick up Ultimates. It's kind of funny, because I read the last issue of Ultimates, really loved it. I wasn't sure if I was going to go ahead and start picking it up and continue on, but I really liked seeing Captain America become president. And after this issue, I'm actually kind of thinking that I really want to see as much Captain America in this time of where the country is in Ultimate right now as I can get my hands on it. I think I'm maybe going to go ahead and start reading Ultimate. It's kind of funny that Spider-Man made me want to go ahead and keep picking up Ultimate. Very briefly, I'll mention Venom number 26. The reason I say briefly is because I actually forgot, because it's not on my pull list right now, to pick up the latest issue of Scarlet Spider. And Minimum Carnage is going through the Venom in the Scarlet Spider books back and forth. So I've read the first part of Minimum Carnage, but didn't read the second part. So I read this and was a little bit lost, because I haven't read that second issue, and I'll go ahead, of course, and pick that up, and then I'll when I can get my hands on it, and then I'll be, I'll know more where I am when I review the rest of it. So all I'm going to say about this is that this is still really over the top and fun. Carnage, even though this is, of course, a different artist than we had with the first issue of Minimum Carnage, of course, because this is 3 different books. This is Shalvey. Still, he looks like Carnage always used to look, and isn't. And I really like that he has a form again, and you actually get to see his whole body on a panel instead of his tentacles just kind of all over the place all the time. And all this stuff in the microverse is just really fun. I'm really enjoying both the mythos of how the microverse works and the kind of society that they have, and why these people have decided that they can you know, foolishly, of course, work with Carnage and try to get Carnage to kill people for them. And I'm also still really enjoying how Venom and Scarlet Spider both fit into this. I'm not going to go in depth on this at all because, like I said, I don't really, I don't know enough because I didn't read the second issue. But still, I enjoyed it, and it's definitely a pickup. And I think that Cullen Bunn actually is doing a really great job with this right now. I didn't love his first arc, but again, that was mostly just because of what it was about and that it was this occult stuff that I'm not a big fan of. Loving this. Next up, Daredevil number 19. Once again, Daredevil continues to be one of my favorite books, and this is no exception. Matt Murdock is finally starting to wonder if maybe he really is crazy. And he's been really dodging the bullet on this for the last several issues. He's got Foggy Nelson thinking he's crazy because, well, and it has been getting to this point for a while now for a number of different reasons that I won't go into. But the big one, of course, was a few issues ago when he found Matt Murdock's dad's skull in Matt's office in a box. Matt doesn't know how it got there. He doesn't think he put it there. But now he's starting to wonder if maybe he's hallucinating and not remembering things that he did. And then the issue before this, his ex-wife, who was in a mental institution, just shows up at his apartment. But then, at the end of that issue, she disappeared, and it was like she was never there in the first place, and so we're led to believe that maybe Matt just hallucinated all of that. And then, here, he goes back to his apartment, she's not there, and it's like she was never there. And I love Wade's attention to detail here, where he says things like, Matt had to have made this bed because she never learned how to make the bed the same way that Matt does, and things like that. So there's a lot of great attention to detail to really create this mystery of what's going on with Matt. Is he crazy? Is he hallucinating? But he can't just be hallucinating because somebody planted that skull in his office if he didn't do it. And so he goes to Ant-Man to run some tests on him, and of course Ant-Man was recently figured into this when he had to actually shrink down and go inside of Matt to save his life. And he discovers that there's something wrong with Matt's brain, though he doesn't know exactly what it is. So my guess is Matt's not actually crazy and someone is doing all this to him, and I don't know how exactly the whole something's wrong with his brain thing fits in, but I really doubt that he's actually done all of this. But honestly, I can't even kind of put my finger on what exactly is going to be the answer to this. I think that Wade is doing a really good job making this unpredictable, and I get the sense that when we finally find out what all exactly has been happening through issues and issues leading up to hopefully soon, finally, the end of this big mystery, we'll find that there have been breadcrumbs planted all along. It really feels like that, but I can't put them together yet. So I can't wait to find out what the answer is. This cover is absolutely freaky, and without giving away the ending, the cover has everything to do with what's in the book. Really, it does. Literally. That happens in the book. Anyway, that's about all I've got to say about this, but it's great and freakish by the end, and I don't know where he's going to go after that issue. So now it's time for Jason's pick. Once again, the last few weeks I've been doing this. I'm gonna keep doing this on weeks that I don't have too many books that I need to buy at the comic store. I take my son Jason with me. Jason is about 2.5. And Jason loves superheroes, and he loves helping me pick out comics. And so I get the books that are on my pull list, and then I let Jason pick one, any book he wants to, and then I review that book also. And that's also letting me get some stuff that I don't usually buy. So this week he picked Justice League number 13. I actually reviewed Justice League number 12 because I wanted to see what the whole Superman getting together with Wonder Woman thing was like. But this one, Jason really loved the cover and really wanted me to get it. So I did, and I quite enjoyed this. Surprisingly, not as much for the Wonder Woman stuff, because this is a very Wonder Woman-centered issue, although that stuff's pretty good. But I actually really liked what was going on with Cyborg in this issue, surprisingly. And I wasn't a big fan of the idea of putting Cyborg on the team in the first place, just because I felt like he was shoehorned in a little bit. But they're kind of doing some interesting things with him here. Now, I've not read a whole lot of Cyborg. I'm not a Teen Titans guy. I haven't read a lot of other Justice League that happens to have Cyborg in it. So if any of the stuff that I was latching onto in this is just rehash of things that we've had in pre-52 continuity, then obviously I can't credit Johns too much for it. But if Johns did come up with the stuff and he didn't steal it from earlier continuity, then good job, Johns, because I thought it was really cool. What Cyborg's really dealing with in this is what you'd want with a cyborg type character. He's half machine, and he's starting to wonder if he's more machine than he is human. And it's maybe an obvious thing to do with a character like this, but it's handled really well. And I felt like he's becoming much more of a real person than I thought he was in the first arc of Justice League, which I read. And he's got this whole thing here where he's saying, like I said, he's 50% machine. He doesn't need to sleep anymore, because so much of him is machine. So he spends a lot of his time just like watching movies and helping Batman out with random things. He's actually living at Justice League headquarters right now, and because he doesn't have a home to go back to. And I just thought all of that was really sad and really really human stuff. The stuff with Cheetah in this, and again, Cheetah's not a character I know a whole lot about, so this might be just regular Cheetah, and I don't even know it, but I don't think it is. Basically, this woman that becomes Cheetah is someone that Wonder Woman used to work with and was a friend of hers, and she, I guess, and she got possessed by this goddess, and now she's a Cheetah. So Wonder Woman feels responsible for feels partially responsible for this woman getting possessed by the Cheetah, and the woman isn't really the woman Wonder Woman used to know, and so I don't really love those kinds of plots, because we're not dealing with a human character. We're just dealing with this goddess who possesses people, and I just don't find that quite as interesting. But I do really like what's going on with Superman and Wonder Woman here. They're not just straight up dating, and I really like that. Johns is really taking his time on this, and they aren't spending the whole issue after they kiss talking about it. There is a scene about it, and they basically say they basically say that was really nice, and maybe we'll pursue this, but it wasn't a commitment, and we have to, pay attention to our jobs right now. All the stuff with Steve Trevor, it doesn't really interest me that much. A lot of this is really setting up the new Justice League book. There's going to be a Justice League of America book. Yeah, they're doing Justice League, and then they're also going to have Justice League of America on top of it, because they've fired Steve Trevor as their liaison for this whole big reason I won't get into. And he's going off, it looks like, with some other heroes, including Green Arrow, to create his own Justice League. And there's a backup feature in this. It's also written by Johns that's about all of that. That stuff's not really doing a whole lot for me. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about all that, but maybe it'll be great. I don't know. But anyway, so that's Justice League number 13. Overall, I definitely recommend this book. I thought it was a lot of fun. Luckily, there's a lot of different subplots, and maybe you'll latch on to one of them more than the others, like I did. I think that Daniel's art is really, really, really good in this. And is that who's drawing? See, I always get in trouble here. Yeah, Tony Daniel's drawing here. So anyway, I really enjoyed the art in this. And that's about it. So everybody, thanks a whole lot for watching New Acquisitions. I'll be back with you next week with some more stuff. Marvel Now is about to really start kicking off, and I'm trying to decide what books exactly I want to pick up. I'm probably going to read quite a few of the number ones just to read them and recommend or not recommend them for you guys. But I'd love to know what in the comments, what Marvel Now books you're most excited about. Which ones are you just, which creative teams, which ideas, premise-wise are most jazzing you with what the new teams are going to be doing. I'd love to hear from you and see what people's reactions are if you've read anything about what's about to happen with these new Marvel Now books now that they're starting to come out. So anyway, thanks again for watching. If you'd ever like to send something for me to review, either to borrow or just as a donation, you can send those things to our P.O. Box. That's Geekvolution, P.O. Box 14183, Lenexa, Kansas 66285. I'm Captain Logan, and happy reading.